What's going on, everybody? The question for today's video is, would you prefer a remade Need for Speed game or a brand new Need for Speed game? Now, keep in mind I said a remake, not a remaster. If the team at EA is going to go in the direction of an older Need for Speed game released in a new generation, I think it would be best to have it remade so that the new audience as well as the old audience can enjoy it. The difference between a remake and a remaster of a game is that the remake completely rebuilds the game from the ground up with gameplay, graphics, and story changes, while the remastered version of a game would just focus on enhancing the game's visuals from the previous version. The best example I can give is definitely the Resident Evil series, and I'm sure that series came to a lot of your guys' minds when I said remake as well. They remade the older Resident Evil games and it was widely successful due to not only it looking better, but they overhauled the features, added new ones, the mechanics of the game were adjusted and tuned with new ones, and a bit of the story was changed to increase the flow of the game. But, and this is the key thing, not so much was changed that it ruined the experience and it didn't even feel like what it was trying to be a remake of. If that is the direction EA goes, that's how it should be done. The issue that comes into play is the track record of EA in bringing older games back, which they just seem to suck at. This can't be a rush job and or a cash grab, which you know EA loves to do. We all know that EA tends to release unfinished garbage all the time, and who's to say that this wouldn't be another one of those things? That is not to say that a new Need for Speed game would not also release as unfinished trash, because we got a few games I won't mention that can fit that description perfectly. But if they were to make a remake of Need for Speed, it would need to be done correctly all the way through, or you risk not only getting the older community mad, but also the new community, because now they don't have a new game to play. But Crown, why not a remaster? I'm glad you asked. Why not just update the graphics and leave the story as is? Well, the Need for Speed community is a mixture of older generations and newer generations, right? Of course, there is no perfect statistic of how much one side is over the other, but I would be willing to bet that newer players are a bigger part of the community and would lean into playing something that seems completely new, even if it's not, rather than an updated graphical game, which remember, that is what a remaster is. There is also the possibility that going back to such an older game without any sense of change besides how it looks would feel like a completely digress in progress. A few of the older Need for Speed games that people seem to want remasters for don't even have basic customization or even an open world. Plus, the car selection is very limited. Those are three things that majority of the community wants and is used to at this point. Heat has a extended car collection, open world. Unbound has a good car collection, open world with burst NOS. All those mechanics that are in the game, that's what the newer community is used to at this point. Because remember, Heat, Unbound, that's really when a lot of the community, a lot of the newer people in the community started to come in. The newer community on Need for Speed will not put up with the things that the older Need for Speed games got away with, simply because there are games that do these things so much better. Like I said before, Heat and Unbound. Remember, those games at the time were the best and only thing out, so there was nothing to compare them to. If we take a very old Need for Speed game and remaster it and release it to the public after they've been playing brand new releases, it probably won't go well. Licenses are also the big problem with remasters. If EA has dropped the ball on the renewing of licenses across its older games, a lot of the things that made these games unique in the first place won't even be there. Music and car brands would be a big thing that wouldn't be there in release, and who knows if EA, as cheap as they are, would even spend time to fix that. This is the reason a lot of older Need for Speed games are delisted and can no longer be purchased. No licenses for pretty much anything. Imagine a remaster coming out that has less content than the game it's remastering. In the grand scheme of things, I think that a new Need for Speed game is definitely what majority of people would like. A fresh experience, new story mode, new characters to like or hate, and a brand new multiplayer experience. On top of that, new cars and a new city would be crazy too. I've heard many places like Tokyo, Detroit, Seattle, etc. that people would like the next Need for Speed to be in, and I think any place that has a vibrant city, the game would fit nicely into. Plus, they could bring in all the features that worked in the previous games, which would be Unbound, Heat, you know, games of that nature. Not Hot Pursuit Remastered, because remember, that is a remaster, right? And that would give a section of the community a place to settle into. Even with as good as a remake could be, imagine if they included burst NOS into the older Need for Speed games then released it. How would that go? It would feel completely out of place, right? And probably ruin the overall experience since it's not even remotely close to the originals. Granted, a few things could be taken out in my opinion, such as the 5 million clothing selections on a character that we see 5% of the time, so not everything from the previous games needs to be added. However, a brand new experience would do the community way better overall than an older game experience. Nostalgia can only go so far, and at the end of the day, EA cares about making as much money as possible with as little effort as possible. Remakes require a lot of effort because remember, you have to build the game up. Would we rather them completely butcher a remake of a great older Need for Speed, or have them make something new that is probably going to be great on release but has no content until later down the line for some reason, i.e. Unbound? Because Unbound was great on release, right? It was just the lack of content that they had and the lack of updates that kept everybody down from Unbound. I would really like for the dev team to keep this trend of nice fast cars and great customization going with more futuristic abilities for the cars. But let me know, what are your guys' thoughts in the comments below? What would you guys want the next Need for Speed game to be? If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.